Here on 99.3 Nigeria Info, and I have a guest in the studio. I remember my guest stopped by 2-3 months ago. Unfortunately, I was trying to play the later part of the last interview to refresh our memories, but we're having a little technical issue, or we're having technical issues in the studio, so you will have to bear with me. My guest is the Commissioner for Economic Planning and Budget, Mr. Ben Akabueze, and he's in the studio again this morning. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Nadia.
Thank you so much for not making it so stressful having you come, on the show. I really sincerely do appreciate it, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. So, there's so much in the news about the drop in the prices of oil, devaluation of the naira, economic recession around the corner, and the finance minister Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala has come out to allay the fears of Nigerians to say that the federal government has set in place certain relative austerity measures in ensuring that these effects do not hamper the Nigerian populace. And a lot of people have started to ask, what does the Lagos State government have in store for its people? You know that sometime last week or 2 weeks ago, Governor Fashola presented a budget proposal to the Lagos State House of Assembly for approval for the 2015 fiscal year. And we are going to be looking at the budget this year's and the 2015 budget proposal, the variations, if need be, what it was sent to do what, and we're going to ask what the state government is doing when it has to do with economic planning on the measures they're setting in place and ensuring that these issues do not affect us drastically in Lagos State. So, Mr. Akabueze, the budget for this year, or the proposal, is 489.69 billion naira presented by Governor Fashola. In comparison to this year's, which is running, is there like a difference? And if there is, where lies the difference in the amount, overall amount?
The overall amount, interestingly, is exactly the same.
Oh, wow.
That tells you, it gives you an indication of what kind of perspective we've taken regarding the next year. Ordinarily, our budget would increase in size, but we basically have taken a pretty conservative view in terms of projecting our revenues for next year. Our budgets are revenue driven. The amount of revenues available represent the singular most important limiting factor to the size of our budget. As a state, we have built execution capacity, and the truth of the matter is, if we could find 1 trillion naira to spend next year, we have the capacity, we have the projects and the plans, the programs to be able to absorb that level of expenditure.
Some people are concerned about the fact that it's still the same amount, because they're saying that we should cut down on so many things that we're doing, and especially as we try to put buffers in place because of the issues around the world, and issues being the drop in the prices of oil. So we're looking at the same amount. Does it mean that, or does it reflect that we were spending the same thing on capital expenditure and recurrent expenditure, or is it that it's the same overall, but that slight variations in the different areas that they're supposed to be used for?
There are slight variations. This year's budget cuts up at 52% for capital expenditure and 48% for recurrent expenditure. The proposals for 2015 cut up at 51% capital and 49% recurrent expenditure. And that reflects the fact that there are a number of recurrent items, like sorting out some of the pension arrears issues. As you know, for so long in this country, under the the defined benefits insurance system that was operated before the contributory pension scheme was introduced in 2007, that whole scheme was unfunded. And despite our strenuous effort since introducing the contributory pension scheme to, set aside funding to, bridge this gap, we have found that given the timing of retirements of people, next year we need to make more significant contribution. And then, of course, as we have repeatedly stated, the more we have invested in capital expenditure, because of our determination to change the way public assets are managed and ensure that we do not just build things but maintain them, we have continued to see a growth in our maintenance expenditure. If you recall also that the budget for next year, just as one for this year, is intended to be zero deficit, and then that means basically we only spend what we earn. If we were going to borrow, by our policy we will borrow only for capital expenditure. So if we were going to have some net financing of our budget from borrowings, that would of course have all gone towards capital and increase the percentage of capital expenditure in the budget.
So does it mean that when you say zero deficit, does it mean that the state is not owing or is not intending to owe based on what it is that we'll make from the 2015 year?
No, basically we currently have a portfolio of debt.
Okay.
In 2015, that portfolio will not grow. There will be no increase in that portfolio. It will decrease. Okay. But we will still have an outstanding debt portfolio. But our debt portfolio is well within sustainability limits. Overall debt portfolio of the state is well under 10%. As a sub-sovereign, we could go even as high as 40–60% and still be safe.
Okay, if you're just tuning in, this is Midday Dialogue with Catherine and Adenike, and we have as guest on our show the Commissioner of Budget and Economic Planning. I was about to mix it up, Mr. Ben Akabueze, and we're looking at the 2015 budget proposal presented by Governor Fashola to the State House of Assembly. So can you run us through how it usually works when the state governor has presented it to the State House of Assembly now? So what should automatically happen?